Hi everyone, my name is Melanie Grant, and this is C&M class. Welcome to our 2030 Spring 2020 class for Introduction to Medical Coding, CPT. By now, you should be familiar with me, so welcome back. It's nice to see you again. This video is just to introduce you to this term structure for our class and talk a little bit about due dates and assignment expectations that you'll have throughout the class. I've changed a couple of things from previous terms, so if you've had one of my coding classes recently, just a couple of things to be aware of. Now, the first thing will sound very familiar is our class structure. Each module week, we look at Tuesday through Monday as our module week, and I often may refer to the week or week ending, which is actually referring to the Monday of the following week. I do my best to get all of your modules out and available on Tuesday at midnight. However, they may be as late as the end of the business day in case there's updates or various information that has to be changed based off of the current year. Because we do keep up to date on all of our coding classes, that means that each term I have to redo some of these, and there may be information that needs to be changed before I can make it available. It's my goal to give these to you each Tuesday, however, and hopefully first thing. If you ever see something that's not popping up or have a question, feel free to email or text me and let me know, especially if it's not up by the end of the business day. Now, you may have had some of our previous classes where we used the Let's Code It textbook from McGraw-Hill and McGraw Connect. For this term, however, we have gotten rid of those, and we will be using a new book, which is one of my personal favorite textbooks, the Step-by-Step Medical Coding by Carol Buck. Now, I have with me an older edition because my edition's online, but I will be getting a physical copy of this as well. You should be able to get your physical copy right away from any of the bookstores near you. And I've double-checked, they're in stock. So, yours will say 2020 as opposed to 2017, Step-by-Step Medical Coding from Carol Buck. And yours will also be a little green instead of blue. Maybe it's under the weather, maybe it's just depressed. Who knows? Our other two books that are required are the CPT coding book, which again, I'm waiting for those to come in, but it'll look very similar to our 2019 edition I have here, so I wanted to give you a visual of what that looks like. It is an AMA print CPT Professional. Now you may have access to a different CPT coding book, and so long as it's a 2020 edition, that's fine. You're welcome to use any edition that you have of the current year for your coding books, so long as you're aware that the page numbers I reference may be different than yours. And speaking of referencing page numbers, you will be looking at some videos that may be a mixture of older information and current information. The reason for that is when we have a topic that doesn't change, I'd like to recycle those videos and continue to keep them in use in case there's information in there that I miss on a re-recording. My goal is to give you everything as accurate as possible though, so I'll have an introduction video each week to introduce you to your week's materials and talk a little bit about the videos you have that week. You'll also have reference materials that we use from YouTube and various other sources, and each of those are verified each week for their current and most accurate information. So, it's okay if we reference other books or page numbers during those videos, but be aware that the introduction each week will talk about your chapter reading and what to compare that to. The other book that you will be required for this class is your HCPCS, HCPCS, HCPCS. Now I got that mixed up with a billing form called a HCFA. Never you mind me. Your HCPCS will look a little bit different than this one. Again, I have the 2019 in front of me. I'm waiting for my additions to come in. And our first week, that's going to be okay if you don't have your books, but you want to make sure you have your textbook if nothing else. Also, you'll want to make sure you get your coding books no later than next week because we will be jumping in and starting our coding very quickly. The HCPCS Level 2, we will be using the professional edition, not the expert that I have here, and it will be published by the AMA as opposed to the AAPC version I held up. So it'll probably look a little different, but it'll still say HCPCS Level 2. You'll want to make sure that you pick that up and you have that available to you for when we review over HCPCS, which will be very soon. Outside of that, I have one recommended book, which is not required, but is a new book that we've picked up this term for our introduction to coding. And it's kind of a really cool reference in talking about reimbursement, Medicare, and how coding systems work together. So I highly recommend it if you still have questions after previous classes on how there's different coding systems or how we use them, because this book is short read and it's a lot of really great information. I've abbreviated it here, but it's an AHEMA book called Medical Coding for Non-Coders. And it's available also at the bookstores for CNM. Outside of that, much like similar previous classes before, you will have discussion board posts due on Fridays for your initial post. Any review posts will be referenced, so make sure you pay attention to any special assignment dates or postings, but all replies and final posts will be due by the end of the module week, which is on Monday. Excuse me. For this term, we will be using assignments and tests interchangeably. So what you may see an assignment that looks like a test, but it's not going to have different limits like a test would, and it's going to give you information for feedback right away on your coding. The idea behind that is so that when you're doing your assignment, you can go in and enter the information and then check and review to see if it was correct right away. For tests or quizzes and exams, those will be identified as test, quiz, or exam, and those will also be due each week at the end of the module week, which is Monday. Each one will be identified for the category it's under though. So you have some tests that goes under your test category versus assignments which look like a test, but they're not. You'll also have some basic regular assignments like you've been used to seeing. We will not, however, be using an online McGraw Connect that has been taken out of this class. Much like some of your other coding classes that you've had with me, and if this is your first one, then this is new, we will have a coding project at the end of the term. The coding project will be assigned during week 10 and will be due by the middle of week 14. And so when we list that, you'll want to make sure that you have some time to review those because they typically take between 10 and 20 hours to complete, depending on how comfortable you are with your coding. Some students have reported less and some more, but it's good to have that scheduled time. Our finals will be during week 14, and our module week during the last week of class is from Monday through Saturday, as opposed to our usual Tuesday through Monday. Just like in previous coding classes, or if it's a first class for you, we do our coding finals based off of the entire module, so make sure you're putting information in your journals to help you save different references and areas that you may want to look back on for studying. Because I do a collective final, I like all of your modules available until the end of week 13. But at the end of week 13, they will be closed, and all of the material within them will no longer be available. So make sure you save any references to your desktop or personal space. That way you can go back and look at them later on. My office hours have changed just slightly this term. I will be available in the main JS building at the main campus on the 4th floor from 3:30 to 5:30, Mondays and Tuesdays. Also on Tuesdays, we will continue our coding clinic, which is from 5:30 to 7 in the JS 209. Now our coding clinics are open to all, meaning that you can come in at any time and leave at any time during those hours. But you are required to attend at least one for the first and second half of the term, either in person in a coding clinic or as a one-on-one by reaching out to me for a special coding review. I schedule my coding reviews typically on the phone or in person during my office hours. And in addition to the Monday, Tuesday, I've added a new office hour on Wednesdays from 10:30 to 11:30 at the West Side. This is in the MJG building on the 2nd floor where all of the administrative and faculty sit. If you ever have questions and you want to schedule with me during that time, please reach out. I will respond to all emails within 2 business days, if not sooner. And if you have any urgent issues or questions, feel free to send me a text at 410-9836. Other than that, let's have a really fun term. I'm looking forward to going over coding with you and talking about some of the specific coding with CPT and HCPCS. We'll talk